All right, it's a beautiful Sunday evening, day number 1 in the month of September 2024. Good evening and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. And our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to have a grasp of all the transpired in the show tonight, please make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. Tonight, we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port. Now, we shall be getting interactive with you as usual. And so all you have to do is sit back, relax, and grab your phones and send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0538037353. 0538037353. When the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with GOIL Super XP. Available in many GOIL stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a GOIL station today and energize your ride with GOIL Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. GOIL Super XP will feel ya, huh? Will be feel. GOIL, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, Trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome to the GPHA port of Takoradi, Ghana's first commercial port. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA has in its quest to position the ports of Ghana as the leading trade and logistics hub of West Africa, embarked on a massive expansion drive at its Takoradi port, the first commercial port of the country. This has resulted in a radical transformation of the initial 7-berth low-drafted port, which was constructed in 1928, to an ultra-modern port fitted with deep drafted container, multi-purpose dry bulk, and liquid bulk facilities. The 16-meter deep dry bulk terminal is the deepest in the sub-region, with a total quay length of 800 meters. It is fitted with a combined 3-kilometer length conveyor system, which comes with a 2,500 metric tons per hour ship loading capacity, which has greatly improved ship turnaround time at the port. The Marshall Liquid Bulk Terminal is a fully automated liquid bulk facility dredged to -14 chart datum and equipped with automated firefighting system. The facility is fitted with 5 loading arms for gasoline, diesel, LPG, bitumen, and heavy fuel. On the container side, Takoradi Port's 16-meter deep Yield-Port and ATSL container terminal with a quay length of 600 is expected to receive container vessels in the 3rd quarter of the year.
All right, so welcome back. We are now going to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And indeed, in the course of the week, the governing board of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority paid a courtesy call or visited Keta. This was to perhaps throw some more light on a project that's ongoing there. We'll tell you what project that is and what they actually did there in Keta. Plus, the fact that the Ghana Revenue Authority has intensified its tax education efforts, and they are visiting communities and trying to sensitize them on the need to do the needful, and that's to be compliant in terms of tax payment. And then maritime stakeholders, security stakeholders have also intensified their collaboration. We'll tell you what it is that they are doing. These and more stories. Please enjoy.
A third commercial port in the Keta municipality remains a major priority on the itinerary of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. The board and management of GPHA have expressed commitment to ensuring that due processes are followed to see to the successful construction and operationalization of the port project. While the project is in its environmental and social impact assessment stage, the authority has commenced the construction of an administration block for the port project before selecting an appropriate investor to build and operate the main port. Indeed, construction of this administration block is underway, and management and board have expressed satisfaction with the progress made following their visit to the project site last Thursday.
I believe that by the time this project is completed, GPHA would have made arrangements for the startup of the port itself, the breakwater, and so on and so forth. Already we've done the environmental and social impact assessment. You know, many companies have expressed interest, and it is our hope that that interest will be translated into people actually bidding to do this job. So it's going to happen.
We are happy with the progress they are making. It's unfortunate their original designs had to change when they came to the ground, but we are all together in this to make sure the project succeeds. Like Chairman said, this is a project for Ghana. It's a project for the whole of Ghana. It's a project for everybody. And even our neighbors. Look at the distance we drove from Tema to this place. And since we started Volta region, from Madan all the way to this place. If all cargoes coming to this area have to come from Tema, and you have a port here, we can just imagine the advantage for anybody, any economic operator within this region, picking his cargo from the port of Keta instead of going to Tema or entering Togo to cross the border with all the protocols.
This project has never been an event, it has been a process. The financing, the people have to come together to have a sustainable developmental project. And this is what we have done. Feasibility was done, we shared it. Environmental impact assessment has been done, we are waiting for approval. Once those two things come together, then you have a viable project that can go forward. We have sounded the project, as DG said, 6 companies have shared their interest. We are very hopeful that once it comes out of EPA and they have access to it, those who have interimly expressed interest will now give us formidable investment package that can proceed with the development of the port itself.
The 5-story Keta Port Administration block, when completed, will sit on a 3,800 square meter area. It is in its pilot stage to ensure the building withstands the geological conditions of the area. PSB Realty Limited is the on-site contractor for the Keta Port Admin block. Stakeholders in Ghana's maritime sector continue to work together to improve security standards at Ghana's ports through the implementation of the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code, also known as ISPS. The Ghana Maritime Authority, in collaboration with the Department of Transport of United Kingdom, has organized a Maritime Inspectors Workshop, bringing stakeholders together to build capacity for the collective responsibility of safeguarding the port against maritime security threats and attacks. Earlier this week, participants in the training program, including officials from the GMA, Regional Maritime University, Meridian Port Services, and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, among others, paid a visit to the Port of Tema to witness firsthand the integration of ISPS recommendations in port security operations, such as security surveillance and access control.
So the cameras will be used to actually show the person.
Jim Hamilton, the Deputy Head of International Maritime Security Operations Team at the UK Department for Transport, stated that the exercise was intended to practically test participants' security audit skills.
For this time we're doing what we call a Maritime Inspectors Workshop, and that's why we're here today to at the invite of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to come and have a look around and see what a real port looks like and how auditors can use what we call their auditor's eye to examine and inspect and make suggestions and do their duties under the ISPS code. So that is what we're doing here this week. And you know, coming to the port like this is really important because we get to use those skills we've learnt in the classroom to then apply them in real life. So that's really, really good.
He was impressed with the improvements in security procedures at the port since his last visit.
I was here this time last November at this very spot, and I won't go into the details about what I've seen, but there are differences here that I've seen that show a stepped improvement in the security stance. So that's really pleasing to see.
The port security manager, Colonel Benjamin Boama, revealed some key tenets of his outfit's culture that continue to yield success in the performance of their mandate.
First and foremost is the attention to details. We always go back to review the report, see where we fall short, and try with management to make amends and ensure that by the next visit would have improved tremendous. Secondly, it's also by teamwork and good leadership. And once we are all together, we know that we are on the same boat, working together. The inputs I get from my subordinates is quite remarkable.
The harbour master at the Port of Tema, Captain Bramwell Tewia, stated that the Port of Tema will not rest on its oars, but will continually work to improve security standards at Ghana's largest and busiest port.
We do have drills, it's part of training. Exercises is part of training, in-house training, and then engaging foreign stakeholders. We had training with Expertise France being funded by European Union, and then Department of Transport. Yeah, this training enhances our efficiency and performance in the ports.
As part of efforts to increase tax compliance among the citizenry, the Ghana Revenue Authority has resorted to vibrant tax education nationwide as the authority marked Tax Month in the month of August. The GRA aims to bridge the understanding gap and demystify taxation with the hope that this will lead to increased compliance with tax filing and payment. The authority has engaged micro, small and medium-scale entrepreneurs at the Tema Community 1 main lorry station as part of recent exercises to strengthen the relationship between traders and tax administrators. A key article in this sensitization exercise was the modified tax system, an innovative, simplified means of capturing MSMEs into the tax net. The area director for Accra East, Assistant Commissioner Joseph Asari, told Iron Port more.
The modified taxation are in 3 levels. We have the very small ones, the macro, small, whose income is up to 20,000. They are given a tax to pay. And then beyond 20,000 and above. And then we have the third layer, which is cash basis. These are businesses which are mostly services. They are not doing this normal buying goods and services, but they are basically services. And they can keep records.
He also touched on innovative methods the Ghana Revenue Authority has adopted to improve tax administration, as well as, more importantly, convenient ways of filing and paying taxes.
These days, taxpayers do not walk to our offices to file and pay. We pay online, we file online. Tax clearance certificate, which used to be accessed from the office. Now on the portal, you should be able to access your tax clearance certificate. And a lot more.
Some market traders shared their learning experience and urged the GRA to continue exploring measures that will simplify taxation for them.
And obey school, obey faha, nina tax ya. Abribia so mobo abaya baso say me kwaya say as I say oban obey mami. Na wuti hona wontua tax no obey dey sika na watumi dia ye wo kwa no e di amount.
First nanka obey call office wo enu ntine ma bebre ye ntumi nko but o ma me ye hu say sesi an ye betumi aye wo efon so aye boss star 22 a asha e betumi akọ na chese watu ya wo me ye no kra na manage no e ba no sa me ha me hu nko committee 4 enko gina wa antino e be boa ye.
The Revenue Authority also offered free health screening for the traders in the market area.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. We're now going for the phrase of the day. And remember, the phrase or word of the day has been introduced to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word is block stowage. Block stowage.
Block stowage refers to storing cargo destined for a specific location close together to avoid unnecessary movement.
All right, so welcome back. We're now zooming into our discussion proper tonight. And tonight we're taking a look at the new law of the Ghana Shippers Authority. That's the Ghana Shippers Act 2024. And that should tell us that the Ghana Shippers Bill 2024 has metamorphosed into law. And we shall be finding out when it is getting, effective, or whether it's already effective. We are taking a look at the benefits, what the overarching objective of this particular law is, and what the expectations of industry players should be. Indeed, we have seen and read in the media some, support and opposition to this particular bill. We know that the, Association of Ghana Industries says it is a very good thing that is happening. We know the Ghana Union of Traders Association at some point expressed some reservations, but I understand, some meetings between that association and the GSA, that's the Ghana Shippers Authority, has actually paved way for a smooth implementation, because I think there were some misconceptions about it. We also know that there are some other groups that are still, not satisfied with this particular law. And so we have invited the Ghana Shippers Authority here today to shed some more light on its law, the new law, what it seeks to achieve, what the benefit would be to the entire industry, and indeed what the expectations of industry players should be as far as this law is concerned. So it gives me pleasure tonight to introduce to us Mr. Emmanuel Ako. Mr. Emmanuel Ako is Director, the Ghana Shippers Authority, in charge of business development and commercial services. Mr. Emmanuel Kofi Ako, Director, Business Development and Commercial Services, Ghana Shippers Authority. Good evening, sir, and welcome. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I understand it's a bill. It's a bill, yes. Ghana Shippers Authority Bill 2024. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a bill. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
As far as I'm concerned,
yes,
it was passed by Parliament.
Yes.
And I think it's going through all the necessary processes.
Right.
Yeah, to be, assented to by the President. So that's where we are.
So it's awaiting presidential.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right. All right. Okay. So that brings to mind, I know that the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders wrote to the President and elicited some response from the President, and the President said he had taken note of, thanked them for the letter. Okay. And then whatever is to follow, we are yet to know what it is. But thank you very much for the clarification. Also to join us along the line would be Dr. Humphrey Kwesi Ayin Dake, President of the Association of Ghana Industries. He's currently out of the conference, so he'll be joining us via Zoom along the line when we are able to make contact with him. We're trying to get him. He consented to come, and so we know definitely along the line he will be joining us, during the discussion. So let me begin with Mr. Akun and find out from you if you can provide an overview of the key changes that were introduced or that have been introduced in the new Ghana Shippers Authority Bill 2024.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mona.
And you might also want to walk us through the chronology of things that happened from the Ghana Shippers Council, now metamorphosing into the Ghana Shippers Authority. Yeah. And, this long-standing issue about trying to have the legal teeth to be able to effectively and efficiently prosecute your mandate as a Ghana Shippers Authority, which now seem to have seen the light of day with the passage of the bill. So if you can give us a chronology of these events and all that.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
Bona, and good evening to your viewers.
Yes, sir.
I think it's an opportunity to be here to discuss the Ghana Shippers Authority Bill 2024. Indeed, some have said this is an important moment for the shipping industry in Ghana because a lot of stakeholders have been asking for this over the period.
Right.
And by God's grace, we are here. Parliament has passed the bill.
Yeah.
And we want to say that this struggle has been a very long one.
Yeah.
If you look at how old the Ghana Shippers Authority itself is, established in 1974.
Right.
Since then, the act establishing the Ghana Shippers Authority hasn't seen any major review.
Right.
And therefore, this is one of the most important reviews that have happened as far as the establishment law is concerned. So you would concede that for a 50-year organization that is supposed to deal with current issues, the law at a point in time became very obsolete in dealing with the current issues at stake. So it was not surprising that many industry stakeholders were asking for a review of the Ghana Shippers Authority, including the people who you mentioned earlier that have said one or two things about the bill.
Yes.
Ghana Shippers Authority was established as part of a worldwide movement. When it became clear that developing countries were not benefiting from the cargo that their trade generated. So you realize that it was those who had ships and vessels who were benefited, so much from the trade that was generated by our shippers.
Right.
So in Delhi in 1968, there was a movement for the development or establishment of shippers organizations.
Right.
And by so doing, the Ghana Shippers Authority was established in 1974 to represent the interests of shippers.
Yeah.
Shippers, developing country shippers, they are small, they are fragmented, they are weak, their might compared to the shipping lines was small. And again, at the time, shipping lines were supported by their countries in what you will call antitrust immunity. In fact, they were given certain exemptions from competition.
Not to cut your flow. So some people have started calling. Please, this number is not for calling. When the time is right for the calls, we'll give that number out. But this one, the MTN is for your messages, your WhatsApp messages, strictly WhatsApp. So we can't pick your calls, please. I can see some numbers calling. So please take note. When the time is right, we shall activate the phone lines and announce the number. But this particular one, the 053-803-7353 is for WhatsApp only. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
Right. So Ghana Shippers Authority was established, then council, and then together with other shippers councils all over the world.
Yes.
Indeed, the first Shippers Council was British Shippers Council in 1955.
Right.
And presently we have a number of them representing the views of shippers, because you reckon that an Aboso kind small spare part seller with one container every 6 months hasn't got the capacity to, deal in equal terms with big players like MX, CMA, CMG, or MSC, etc. So that interplay hasn't changed that much over the years. If you ask me, I'll say it has worsened.
Right.
And the shipper has been at the short end of this.
Right.
So even locally, you realize that we talk about high cost of doing business at the port, and the most culprit has been some of the shipping lines,
right,
in terms of the charges that we deem illegitimate, unwarranted, because shippers are not asking for favors. They are only asking for fair practices. They want a fair playing field so that they can do their business. So if a service provider provides a certain service to a shipper, the shipper is prepared to pay.
Yes.
But where it is not clear what service is being provided, yet charges are imposed, they introduce, and before you see it, they are being increased, and that became a problem.
Yes.
And so they were asking on Ghana Shippers Authority to do something and to act. Indeed, we want to act, but we have limitations as far as the law was concerned.
Yes.
So anytime our cry has been that we should revise the law, not that the law itself is not as relevant, but it hasn't got the bite, the sanctions regime that can put people in check.
Yeah.
That is what this law has done for us. So far, that is what has happened by the passage of the Ghana Shippers Authority Bill 2024.
All right, so you mentioned issues with respect to the shipping lines, which has been a long-standing one with clearing agents, freight forwarders, customs house agents, and importers themselves complaining about some of the charges. And the one that really comes to mind is container administrative charges and all those things and all that. So what you're saying, you also mentioned unwarranted and, illegitimate and unwarranted charges by the shipping lines and all that. And so what you're telling us is that this... with the turn of events at the moment, you're going to have the legality to be able to buy it, because the blame was that you were looking on and not doing anything about it.
Yeah, some even accuse us of, taking bribes from the shipping lines because they thought we were not doing that much. So three major things, a lot of things are, let me put it this way. Our establishment law, NRCD 254, after that, there was LI 1347, and then another LI in 2012, LI 2190.
Yes.
We have put all these laws together into one, and then given a bit more sanctions regime with the law. So that is what has happened.
Right.
Not much has changed in terms of our processes, our procedure, our role. You see that we're doing some of the things already, yet we were not able to get to the end of it to make determinations that will be obeyed by players. So three things will happen this time around. The charges, illegitimate charges, now the authority has been given the powers to deal with it conclusively.
Right.
So the Ghana Shippers Authority now has to approve charges. So if charges have not been justified, we have not gone through discussions, it is not something that we all accept as an industry, it's not an international best practice, and we are afraid that charge cannot stand anymore. Number two, the Ghana Shippers Authority has also been given the role to be able to what we call deal with disputes.
Yes.
So there is a dispute settlement mechanism as part of the law, where the Ghana Shippers Authority can make pronouncements, having listened to all the sides, and make a determination.
Yes.
And that determination will stand until it is set aside by a competent court of jurisdiction. So that is the second part, so that it can allow free flow of business.
Okay.
Most of the time when there is dispute, it's the shipper who suffers. His container is attracting rent, it's attracting demurrage, while the tussle and the dispute continues. With the coming into effect of this law, we'll be able to make decisions in these areas so that the shipper will not be, at the shorter end of the stick. Then the third one, which I think it's also very important, is what we call the provision for local content and local participation in the provision of shipping services. You realize that our shipping industry has been dominated, the better side, by multinationals.
Yes.
When we were young and we joined the industry at the time, there were a number of local industry who were shipping agents, etc.
Yes.
But now we see that we have the multinationals who are the shipping lines. Then they have come to establish their own agencies. Some have even gone, further into transport and clearing, etc. And therefore depriving our own people of a lot of jobs. So
exactly.
I think this is one thing that the industry should be happy about, that very soon we'll be able to come out with legislation and regulations that will allow our people to take charge of some of these areas as far as the shipping services provision are concerned. So these are the three key elements that I thought the industry should be happy about.
Right. With respect to the last one that you just mentioned, I think that the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders or the Freight Forwarding Fraternity have been at the forefront of calling for measures to nip this in the bud. I think there's a similar situation with Keta as well. Yeah. And, they believe that the multinationals, they begin operations before you realize they've set up a company with Ghanaians fronting for them as directors, because that's what's required by law. And then before you realize, they begin to venture into their area of operations or business, which solely, according to law, should be reserved for them.
For Ghanaians.
Yes, and so this perhaps gives them some, leeway, or it gives them the opportunity to now own what they're supposed to, what's supposed to be rightfully theirs.
Absolutely.
And so they should be excited about it.
Excited about it.
All right. So there's the issue of transparency and accountability in determining charges for the industry. How does this new bill ensure that?
Yes, accountability in the sense that if we have to pay a certain fee, everybody must know why it is to be paid. So now shipping service providers will have to justify the any charge in the industry. It has to be justified. We have to enter into consultation. We have to see whether it is it meets international best practice before it can be implemented. If it doesn't pass all these tests, then we are afraid we can't allow a thing like that. We talk about the typical example is the issue of administrative charges, where freight has been paid from the port of loading only for shippers to come to the port in Ghana and be asked to pay some administrative fee.
Yes.
And administrative fee is not only administrative in terms of per bill of lading, it is even charged per container, as if containers have been moved physically. Yet it is just one paper or just a press of a button, and shippers are paying about $300 per container in all these areas. These are areas that we are going to look at, and we want to find out why these charges. There's a typical one also known as container cleaning. Container cleaning, you bring clean cargo, you haven't soiled the container, yet you are asked to pay a container cleaning fee. And those are the things that we are going to look at. And there's a number of them that we'll be looking at.
Okay, so basically you've outlined some of the charges that you want to take a look at. And the one you just mentioned is container cleaning fee. And you also say there's one that's charges like $300 USD.
On the whole, we are paying in excess of about $20 to $30 million a month in these charges that leave the country.
Shippers.
Shippers are paying. This is money that could have been part of their business. They could reinvest and could make them more competitive. So these are the things that we'll be looking at. So it has to be justified. Every charge will have to be justified. and every increase will also have to be justified. So that is the way we are going to go about it. Of course, based on a lot of consultations and supported by research.
Yes.
So that is how we are going to go.
Okay, so I know the basic response would be that, yes, you didn't have the legal teeth to bite. That's why these things were persistent. You knew about them, but looked on, hopelessly. You couldn't help. Did you make any efforts, along the line to point out to the culprits that this was what was happening and these are the complaints we've received and this does not inure to the benefits of those that you represent, the shippers, and that something should be done about it? And what responses did you get from them?
We have done that a number of times. We've met them, but they say, hey, it's a free market. We should be allowed to do, what the market will allow. But you see, that even on that score, we can interrogate it a little further. If you have a country where in the liner sector, for instance, the top 5 companies control about 64% of the market. Top 4.
Right.
So already, we are not talking about a perfect market. We are talking about an oligopoly, where few people are determining. So in situations like this, the theory is that there has to be regulation. There must be intervention. And so they have taken advantage of it. And then because it is money that is coming to them, you can be sure it is not something that they want to let go until we have the force of law. And here in this law now, it's been amply, given in terms of the sanctions that will apply if you flout or you violate any of these decisions that we are. Charge a fee that has not been approved by the Ghana Shippers Authority, you'll be sanctioned severely. So.
All right. So I know, yes, the bill has come into force, waiting for presidential attention. But I just want to find out from you whether you anticipate some resistance, so to speak, from, let's say, the shipping lines, especially with respect to something like container cleaning charge or container administrative fees and all that. Do you expect, or you think that with the law in force, you don't even need perhaps to go and negotiate? You just would go straight away, inform them that this is our stance, and if you flout, we are going to come after you.
For a law like this, you can be sure not everybody will be happy with it. Those who are benefiting from the present system definitely will not be happy. And unfortunately, the areas rather that we did not expect some of the issues to come up is where, because we thought that we're doing this thing for our shippers, and especially our freight forwarders. I belong to a number of platforms where we have been, on the chopping board anytime there are issues at the port. And we say that, and they say, we don't have the teeth to bite, so give us the teeth to bite. And so I'm rather surprised at where the concerns are coming from. I think it's a matter of communication and lack of understanding of the law and what it entails. Because, for instance, with GUTA, having said, they talk about two things. They talk about the registration of shippers that they thought was, akin to licensing. And then they also talk about shipment notification form that they thought was going to be something like the advanced shipment, notification. So after that initial, complaint that came, we saw on media, we have met GUTA again, and they have understood clearly that registration is registration. Ghana Shippers Authority has been registering its shippers since 1987.
Right.
So it's nothing new. Maybe what is new now is that, because government wants people to tow a certain line, definitely there has to be some.
What is new is that it's now become compulsory.
There's a sanctions part of it. So that is it. But you see, we'll be the last people to place another layer, of bureaucracy on cost, etc. Because even presently, if you know how much shipper registration is, the gold category, we have 2 categories of shippers in Ghana. The gold category, who do a certain volume in a year, the registration is 100 Ghana cedis a year.
Yes.
And then for the silver category, it's 50 Ghana cedis. I know with the new law, it will be subject to fees and charges, etc. But looking at this fee, this is not a fee that is intended to be a money-making, machine or anything like that. So we said that registration is for our shippers to know them, etc. And then they ask the question. The information is on the, you can find it on the ICOMs. You see, but you have to be entitled to the information. There has to be legal provision for you to take that. You can't go onto ICOM and say, I want this information. Are you entitled to it? So that is what we have done. The provision has to be made in the law. Then the second part, which is the most important part, is to ensure that we do it in such a way that it doesn't impede, the flow of trade. It doesn't add to cost, but shippers are benefiting from it. So that is what is going to happen. You will also realize that many people don't know that we still implement shipment notification.
Right.
When GCNet came on board, maybe early 2000.
Shipment notification, is it the same as the one that was shot down Ashi?
So I'm coming to that. I will explain.
It's Ashi, right?
I will explain. No,
okay.
It's different.
Okay.
So we have a shipment notification that hitherto shippers were coming to our offices for a certain to complete a form, and we stamp to give them to be able to clear their cargo. But when the ECNet came, we on our own put that ESNF on the platform. So shippers were not coming to us anymore. As part of our effort to facilitate trade, we didn't ask people to come to. We ourselves voluntarily put it on the platform. So we were picking the information from the platform. In the same vein, we are going to, there's the shipment notification form that they are seeing that looks like an ASHI, an advanced shipment. What has happened is that the shipment notification form data requirement that we use presently is 1987.
Okay.
We have only upgraded it in this new law in terms of the information that we require.
Right.
So now the template looks like an ASHI, advanced shipment information template.
Yes.
But it is a shipment notification form that will be completed here as part of the clearance process. So it is different from an advanced shipment, notification where we have agents outside where the forms will have to be completed and sent ahead of time. So it's different from ASHI altogether. It's still the shipment notification form. It will be completed here as part of ICOMS. If data is available that we can generate, we can get from ICOMS, we'll do that. Those that we require that are not available. We have already started working with ICOMS and customs to ensure that there is some integration to be able to get as much information as possible. So people should dispel that we don't have an advanced shipment, notification on information, as we have it presently. There may be plan. You will notice that we have had the law given to us to do advanced shipment, information, which was in the LI. But you see, that has been given to us as law, so we have preserved it in this. But its implementation will be done when the market is ready with this. But as we speak now, what will be implemented is the shipment notification. That is information that will be gathering as part of your clearance process. So shippers should not worry at all. Nothing is going to change. They may not even notice it at all that we are taking some information from the system. Unless there are few areas that we want, especially the geographical distribution of trade. It's one important thing that we don't have as a country. When people import stuff into this country, we only see things like post office number, so and so. But where exactly that commodity and cargo ends or where it is coming from, we don't know in terms of district, regional distribution, etc. So we intend that as part of this new shipment information, we'll make a provision to find out where imports will finally end and where exports are originally coming from. As part of policy, data that will help government to make decisions that are, very, very, very accurate. So that is it. We are doing this in the interest of the shipper. So when we met the stakeholders, we have said that yes, we can't get a perfect law, but we should be careful not to throw the baby with the bathwater, because there's a lot of good things in this act. The few ones, maybe about 1%, can be addressed very soon, and we have already started a process of looking at how we can use LI to elaborate some of the provisions in the law. We are not saying that LI is going to supersede the the Parent Act. No, that is not it. But it will give practicality and to give meaning and make it easy for people to follow. And that is what we are going to do. And we are going to do that in collaboration with the players, all the stakeholders, so that we can get it done together.
Right.
So this law should be very good. I think people in the industry should be happy.
Yeah.
The next issue that I hear and talk about is the issue about the freight forwarders.
That was going to be my next question.
Okay, so let me leave you to ask the question.
From the look of things, you indicated that you are now operating on the same wavelength with Guta, because you've met them and you've explained issues to them, and they are okay.
Yeah.
And so that now brings us to the issue of the freight forwarders. What were their concerns? And they seem not satisfied at all.
Well,
to the extent that they would have to petition the president.
Yeah, we have also heard. We have seen the petitions here and there on different platforms. And from what we saw, their key issues are the fact that they are already being licensed by customs. And then we are also asking to register them.
Yes.
That is. Their second point was the shipment notification form that I've explained earlier. So we don't think that it is we are burdening them unnecessarily. With what has happened is that every service provider that provides some service to the shipper will have to come under the ambit of this legislation. You know, so the Ghana Shippers Authority is now regulating this space between the shipper and the service provider.
Right.
And everybody who is in that space must come into that. If I may read the areas of regulation, or it's in the objects. So if you read the object of the authority, the object of the authority is to regulate activities of shippers and shipping service providers with respect to, number one, service standards.
Right.
Commercial terms and conditions of shipment, the pricing of shipping services, carrier charges, and the resolution of shipper complaints. So any service provider who is involved in any of these things will come under the ambit of this legislation. So to the extent that freight forwarders provide service to shippers,
yes,
we need to know them. We need to have data on them.
Okay.
In fact, the law provides that the Ghana Shippers Authority must develop a database of shippers and shipping service providers. And the only way you can have a database is to get people registered and provide information. So I think they shouldn't be overly, worried, because I think that what they gain from this law is far much more than the little with respect to this registration that will be, and we are registering alongside all other shipping service providers. We have custom house agents, and we have freight forwarders, and we have consolidators, and we have shipping agents, and we have terminal operators. All these agencies. So we believe that they are licensed by customs to the extent that they are doing customs business.
Yes.
But as long as they provide a service to shippers, they need to come under ambit. I think when we put the thing around like that and say we are being regulated all over, then it creates the impression. But you see, it is the practicality. How are we doing it? I think that is what we should be discussing. How are we going to do it so that it doesn't become burdensome? And we can assure them that we will sit down with them and look at how to do it so that when we complain about shipping lines and agents charging high, etc., unwarranted, illegitimate, etc., there are times when shippers have also complained about some freight forwarders and customs houses. I must admit, there's not so much in the area of cost, but it has to be in the area of standards, etc. So it's important that all of us, we can't only say that, go and regulate shipping agents and shipping lines, but as for us, leave us. We can't operate that way. So this is a very forward-looking act that takes care of everybody, everything in the shipping industry, and every service provider who is involved in providing one service or other to the shipper will be covered by this act.
Okay. All right. So I'm just reading through some of the messages which will come to maybe along the line, but we are moving on. I just hope that the GIF leaders are listening, because I know that along the line they would also want to raise some issues, like you just mentioned, because they are not satisfied at all, and they think that something must be done, and we'll give them the opportunity along the line to voice their concerns, and let's see how it's going to go. But beyond the petition and the response they've gotten from the presidency and your relationship with them, is there any end in sight to this particular issue, these particular issues that they are raising, and your quest to address them?
Absolutely. We're supposed to have met them last week as part of the, the sensitization when these things came up. Unfortunately, they agree that the invitation came at a short notice. So I think we are able to meet them the coming week. That is maybe Wednesday or so. We are going to meet GIF and other freight forwarders so that we can, present, we can attempt an explanation. We are hoping that they will agree with us that we shouldn't allow this opportunity to slip by, these little things. They can be resolved, and we are open to all the discussions. You will notice that just after the bill was passed, our chief executive invited all of them, and they met, including AGI, Chamber of Commerce, all of them. And you heard them, they hailed the act as, unprecedented, and it was coming to address their issues. That thing still stands. And so we don't think that little issues like registration should worry people, worry the industry.
Does the registration come with some cost?
Yes, that is why I said that the cost that we are talking about, it is not the motive here is not the revenue. The motive here is not the revenue at all. It is information. If you want a database of people, you want to monitor, prices, you want to monitor costs, you want to monitor services. You need a huge database, and you need a strong research team to support these things so that you can confront. But I must say that GIF and the freight forwarder have been very, very supportive. When the LI 2190 came into force in 2012, when the shipping lines refused to negotiate, the freight forwarders were still negotiating and discussing with us. We were meeting them, and I must commend them. The last negotiation ended, I think we came out with new charges in January 2023, if I'm not wrong. So GIF and the other GIF, Achag, Kuba, FAD, we are bedfellows. So we think we can talk over these issues and get it right. They have been cooperative. They negotiated, as well as the terminals. Also, GPHA was also negotiating port terminal handling charges. So that's why I say that most of these things are not new. They are only new to the extent that now people will be forced to comply as far as the law is concerned.
So apart from GUTA, apart from GIF, were there any other stakeholders that raised some issues during the formative stages of the bill and perhaps made some suggestions that were not included in the final product?
Well, so far as I'm concerned, I've only heard about the president of GUTA, and then on the JCC platform that I belong, that I saw the issue that GIF also raised. Apart from that, all the others have supported the bill. During the consultative process, all these groups were invited, and we met. They made useful contributions. The documents are there. In fact, before this bill was passed, they had to see all the consultative processes with reports attached. And it was at these meetings that they told us that, is that all we said we want to do? Having been given the opportunity, is that all we can do in terms of the sanctions? They thought the sanctions were not punitive enough. We need to strengthen it. I must admit that definitely not every suggestion that every stakeholder will make, that will be taken. We have to look at it in terms of the overall objective of the act and dealing with it. But I must say that by and large, most of their suggestions were incorporated. The most difficult one was even between us and then the in-house one, us and GPHA, and it took about 2 years to get that thing, and the ministry settled it at the policy level. That has given way for this act to move on. So I believe that now that hopefully GUTA has come, they are part of the consultative process now that will come up with the airline. We believe that when we meet GIF also, we think we should be able to resolve this matter for the overall interest of the industry.
Right. Okay. How soon are you expecting to get them to the table to?
Yes, as I said, we're supposed to have met on Wednesday, Thursday. So I think the meeting has been scheduled for Wednesday. Yeah, this Wednesday. Yeah, I'll stand to be corrected, but I think I had some discussion with the president last week when they were all away. So he thought that next week Wednesday will be appropriate. So all things being equal, we should be able to meet them this week.
You're referring to Mr. Stephen Ajokacha?
Mr. Ajokacha, yeah.
Okay. Chief, Mr. President, good evening, sir. So you've heard it. Wednesday, God willing, when you meet, I'm sure there will be some, understanding and some, common ground, going forward, and all that. But in terms of impact on traders, or impact of traders using Ghana Sea and airports as well as the land borders, and what would be the impact overall of this new bill on international trade?
It's going to be huge. I mentioned certain numbers.
Yes.
Already as a country, we are spending about $3 billion on freight. On freight alone.
Yeah.
And then we are adding about 400 million or so in terms of local charges.
400 million?
Yes, about 400 million, in terms of local charges. So these are the ones that...
USD?
USD, not cedis. Right. These are the ones that, by the coming into force of this law, these things will have to go immediately. Because in our own mind, this is not justifiable. No, they cannot be justified at all. Shippers do not want just say they want freebies. No. They want to pay for a service that have been provided to them. So if you offer them a service, they understand that they have to pay. But because of the skewed nature of the market, they are forced to come with a certain shipping line, with a certain, understanding of freight, only to come here and come and pay administrative charge, of so much, and other charges. Another one has been added, port administrative, port additionals, There was a time when they wanted to add something
introduced by
the shipping lines. The shipping lines. There was a time when they wanted to add one they call terminal handling charge. You see, for your cost as a shipping company, you put everything together and you charge freight. We are not against any freight we want to charge, but don't leave freight, charge a certain and come here and then come and take foreign exchange. We don't have that. We don't have our own shipping line. We don't have our own shipping companies. But we think that we should be treated fairly. If you provide a service, we'll pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. But we don't want to pay for a service that has not been offered and provided to us. So that is going to go. Number two, they also have in Ghana Shippers Authority an agency that they can quickly come for redress anytime they have issues.
Yes.
So something is a short landing, somebody demurrage issues, etc. You come to Ghana Shippers Authority, we resolve the matter, amicably, and then we ensure that there is fairness. In fact, that is what the law enjoins us, to ensure a fair environment that ensures competitiveness for every player in the industry. So presently, we are moved beyond just talking for the shipper. Now we are looking at the whole industry. We are also interested in the overall interest of the service provider. So because the service provider must also be there to be able to provide services. There are times where service providers also have issues with other service providers. I remember when we a number of times when we met with SWAG, that's the shipping owners, and they said that they are like orphans, nobody speaks for them. So and we think that so the framers of the law think that now we should rise beyond just representation of shippers to look at the overall industry. And this emulation is coming from the Federal Maritime Commission of the United States that has this regulatory oversight of all shipping activities. And if you go there, the license, what they call the ocean transport intermediaries. In our parlance here, we'll talk about freight forwarders and maybe cargo consolidators.
Yes.
They license them, they control the tariff, etc. They do that. They also deal with the common carriers. Make sure even their private agreement with shippers, you have to file, a copy of the FMC.
Right.
Yeah. And recently they have come out with what they call the final rules on demurrage and detention.
Right.
After the COVID in 2000, when there was a huge issue about demurrage, the United States decided to pass a law giving further powers to the FMC to come up with rules as to how demurrage and detention should be done.
Right.
And by God's will, we have such a provision in this law that will allow us to come out with regulations to deal with demurrage.
Right.
Yeah, when demurrage should start, must be something that must be known and predictable by all. It shouldn't be a unilateral decision by somebody to say demurrage has started at this. We should all know when demurrage should start.
Right.
If weekends nobody is working, nobody must pay for demurrage. All these things must come into play when it arrives. Things like when a port is declared to be congested and therefore congestion charge is imposed, etc. Those things cannot be done unilaterally anymore. We have to agree. There has to be, the evidence must be there for us to agree. And so the shipper has a lot to gain from this in terms of both time and then value and money for their business.
Right. Okay. All right, so this is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at the new Ghana Shippers Authority Bill 2024. It's been passed and it's been presented to His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for ascension before it will take effect. And so that's what the authority is waiting for at the moment. We are examining the benefits and expectations of this particular bill to the entirety of the industry. We're going to go for a quick break. When we return, we'll take your messages. I've seen tons of them, and we shall also activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kenneth Mona. Please do stay with us. As we say, we introduce once again Mr. Emmanuel Kofi Akon, Director of Business Development and Commercial Services at the Ghana Shippers Authority. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefi. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Tell God, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome to the GPHA port of Takoradi, Ghana's first commercial port. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority (GPHA) has in its quest to position the ports of Ghana as the leading trade and logistics hub of West Africa, embarked on a massive expansion drive at its Takoradi port, the first commercial port of the country. This has resulted in a radical transformation of the initial 7-berth low-drafted port, which was constructed in 1928, to an ultra-modern port fitted with deep drafted container, multi-purpose dry bulk, and liquid bulk facilities. The 16-meter deep dry bulk terminal is the deepest in the sub-region, with a total quay length of 800 meters. It is fitted with a combined 3-kilometer length conveyor system, which comes with a 2,500 metric tons per hour ship loading capacity, which has greatly improved ship turnaround time at the port. The Marshall Liquid Bulk Terminal is a fully automated liquid bulk facility dredged to -14 chart datum and equipped with automated firefighting system. The facility is fitted with 5 loading arms for gasoline, diesel, LPG, bitumen, and heavy fuel. On the container side, Takoradi Port's 16-meter deep Yield-Port and ATSL container terminal with a quay length of 600 is expected to receive container vessels in the 3rd quarter of the year.
All right, so welcome back. This is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Tonight we're taking a look at the new Ghana Shippers Authority Bill 2024 and its benefits and expectations of industry players. And we are in the studios with Mr. Emmanuel Kofi Akun, who is Director, Business Development and Commercial Services at the Ghana Shippers Authority. Now being informed by the production team that the lines have been activated for you to call in. The number to dial is 02055283353, 02055283353. That's right on your screen. You can call and contribute. And your messages are also in. Let me begin with this one. It says, please, some questions for the man in the studio. Does the law address the issue of how demurrage is determined and calculated? That's one. Two, it says, does the law come with additional costs such as administrative expenses, fees, or charges in operational processes that would add on to the cost of doing business? That's two. Three, it says, how would the law help to improve operational efficiency at the ports? And 4, he says, how well does the new law fit with existing legal frameworks of other regulators, shipping service providers, terminal operators, etc.? And finally, he says, what is GSA's plan to effectively advocate the provisions of the law to shippers to aid their appreciation of it and therefore compliance with it? And what different approach will GSA employ in the enforcement of its mandate in relation to high rates determined and charged by service providers? That's a loaded one from an anonymous texter. You didn't add your name. Next time we pray you do audio name. Yes, sir. So maybe you'd want to tackle it, and then
Yes.
we move to other messages.
Yeah, so I think I got a few of them.
Yes.
He wants to know whether the law comes with how the mortgage is determined,
Yes,
etc.
exactly.
No, the law did not come with that, but the law has made provision for regulations for the rules on regulation on demurrage. Sorry. So very soon we are coming out with an LI that will show how demurrage has to be determined, and it will be very elaborate so that all the issues that people have in the industry will be addressed. It will be predictable. It will be known by everybody, and then nobody can be charged for demurrage, unfairly.
Yes.
We admit that if you hold somebody's container unduly, you deprive the person of the use of that facility, so you may have to pay. But how it is administered is where we think we have consent.
Definitely.
So we have to come up with an LI that will show how demurrage and detention is to be applied. Then he asked whether this new law will come with new administrative charges.
Yes, and expenses,
Nothing. No. We see we are going to use the existing platforms, electronic platform, as much as possible. Yeah. So revenue or money is not a driving force. We have our own sources of income, revenue, as far as the organization is concerned. So if there's any cost at all, as I said, for instance, if a shipper is supposed to be registered at a cost of 100 cedis per year, that is not too much, and that is for the gold category. And for silver category, that is 50 cedis per year. I don't think that is too much. And then when we come to the shipping service providers, depending on the category of shipping service provider, I think there may be little fees, and they may be just administrative, but nothing substantial as far as the cost of doing business is concerned.
Okay. All right. So, would you help improve? How would the law help improve operational efficiency at the ports?
A lot. So now people will set up, because if as a result of your inaction or a certain procedure, somebody has to pay something, we have to make the determination, and so people will have to sit up and ensure that they work efficiently. People should not be inefficient and expect the shipper to pay for it. That is what we are going to address very strongly. So some level of efficiency is going to be injected as far as this law is concerned.
How well does the new law fit with existing frameworks of other regulators, shipping service providers, and terminal operators, etc.?
Yeah, we have. Yes, as I said, we did extensive consultation on this, and so this law has straddled that fine, milieu in terms of the various laws, etc. And I must say that at the policy level, at the Ministry of Transport, those things were ironed out to ensure that every player has its remit, and we haven't infringed on anybody's territory as far as rules and functions are concerned.
What is GSA's plan to effectively advocate the provisions of the law to shippers to aid their appreciation of it and therefore compliance with it?
As we speak now, we have a roadmap for a nationwide sensitization of the law that will hit the road, I think, next week. There was going to be our corporate affairs department is vigorously working on that, to ensure that people understand it. It's very easy you can read the law, but you can only read the letter. So it's important that those of us who are part of the process, then we can also introduce the spirit of the law. So if you just read it on the face value, it may not be what you think it is. So that is why we'll be going around and to ensure that we explain to what it's intended to achieve by this law. So the sensitization process is going to start immediately.
Okay. This one says, good evening. This is Kwame Ansan from Tesano. The director from Ghana Shippers Authority has provided clarity on the new Ghana Shippers Authority law, and I'm convinced it will indeed provide a level playing field for all stakeholders. I have no doubt that President Akufo-Addo will put his signature to it soon. Kudos, Mr. Bafo Sapong and the team at Ghana Shippers Authority. You know one Mr. Bafo Sapong?
No. Mr. what?
Bafo Sapong
is our chief
executive. The CEO. Okay.
That's the chief,
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's from and Kwame Ansa in Tesano. This one says, hi, this is Abla from East Legon. I am an exporter and very happy the law has been passed. We urge the President to assent to it as soon as possible. We also need to give thumbs up to Mr. Kwesi Bafo Sapong and his team at the Ghana Shippers Authority for getting the law passed. This is good news. Okay, and so that's also from this particular person. This one says, good evening, Mr. Man. Good evening, Mr. Man. Please, emphasis, please. How old are you before you before you are struggling to answer everything? Please tell us what individual would benefit from it, please. My name is Emmanuel Agle from Achaliboche. Okay, so he's just basically asking how will it benefit they as individuals. I guess he probably might not even be a shipper, but if you would oblige him.
Yes, so
how best,
we talk about the shipper. Maybe the shipper is basically the importer and the exporter.
Yeah.
If the shipper's cost rises, he passes that cost on to the consumer.
Yeah.
And all of us are consumers. Mm-hmm. And therefore, anytime the cost of doing business is higher at the port, we also find the cost going up. So it may not, we may not think we are involved directly, but we are really affected by all this. The inflation that we see sometimes are imported through these means.
Yeah.
So once the cost at the port goes down, everybody who is a consumer in the market will benefit from it.
Awesome. Good evening, Iron Port. How will the new Shippers Authority bill help reduce the high cost that businesses in Ghana often face with shipping and logistics? Also, what can the business community do to ensure they fully benefit from these changes? My name is Ansu Boating in Koforidua.
Yes, so what we are saying is that we are doing this for the industry. We have a lot of experience in the industry, over 50 years trying to manage. We have done a lot. In the absence of a very potent law, we still manage to represent the interests of shippers, etc. Through sensitization, bringing them up to date with issues, resolving complaints, etc. A lot of complaints have been resolved. Over 50% of the complaints are really resolved.
Yes.
But the other ones, it gets to a point where you cannot do that much because you don't have the law to give you the final say as far as dealing with the disputes are concerned. So we are just encouraging everybody wherever you are. If you're a shipper, you can approach Ghana Shippers Authority. You just register. Then we know you, and then we can always reach you with a lot of information that we pass on to shippers, etc. Yeah.
Are you still running the shipper complaint and support units across the country?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we have about 5 of them. We have the KIA, we have Elubu, Aplau, Paga, and I think even Takoradi port somewhere.
Okay. Okay.
And we intend to expand to the western part, the Gono.
Right. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Aku. With the introduction of the new Shippers Authority bill, could you provide specifics on the mechanisms the Ghana Shippers Authority will implement to monitor and enforce compliance with the new regulations, especially regarding port fees and cargo handling charges? Additionally, how will the authority address any grievances from shippers or businesses who feel they are still being unfairly treated under the new law? This is Bill Nyakun in Achimota.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very, very important question. We need to put some systems in place to monitor.
Right.
Because at least once we agree on something, there must be a monitoring mechanism.
Absolutely.
So we have enforcement units that will be dealing with that. We also intend to come up with serious IT systems that will link with the shipping lines and the terminals so that real time we are picking information on charges, etc. Over time, we'll do it to cover all the other shipping service providers. Yeah, those that are not on the ICOMs, we should find a way. We want to find a way of connecting, directly in terms of their charges, how much they pay, etc. So we can monitor what is happening. And then we already have what we call the shipper complaints, unit. If you come to our shipper services department, we receive complaints on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so that unit is going to be strengthened. Even now, the team will be there to receive your complaints.
Yes.
And with the coming into force of this new law, we should be able to make decisions, determinations, that should stand. Until somebody decides to go to court or arrest and set it aside. That is what the law has given us so far.
Right.
And we are going to ensure that we strengthen our systems to implement it.
Okay. This one is from our regular texter, Ohima in Tema, Paulina Brokwa. She says, good evening, Iron Port. On the shipment notification, I would like to find out which will be more helpful. One, picking the information from the icons where the cargo manifests and cleared by customs, that is releasing an existing or the bill of entry, that is a BOE, thereby having a rather complete information about the cargo, versus two, the submission of a certain advance notification of the shipment by importer who may not be so accurate because of issues of short landing, misdescription arising from the mistakes of supplier, etc. If it's really about getting data on the type and nature of the goods traded by shippers, then I think the former serves a purpose better. Otherwise, I would like to be better educated about the purpose of the advanced shipment notification. Thank you.
Right. I think I explained this point earlier, that we are not doing advanced shipment notification.
Right.
What we are doing is a shipment notification that will be done here, and we have said that we will be plugging onto the ICOM system to pick as much data that we can, as if it is available.
Yes.
But where we don't have the data requirements available, then we'll make the request for that field to be attached and to be added, so that we are going to. So we are not going to come. People are not going to come to us separately.
Yes.
Stand alone somewhere for a certain shipment information. We are going to pick that information from the system. And as I said, as we speak, we already have what we call the ESNF.
Right.
That will pick. The only thing that the DECWA...
What's that?
Pardon me?
What's the ESNF?
The electronic shipment notification. It's the same thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but the data set that we take from it, as far as the law is concerned, the 1987 law is very limited.
Right.
Yeah, because you see, you need entitlement. You need to be entitled to the law, to a certain data, to be able to go to ICOMS and say that I want this set of data. So we are not going to add any layer. It's the same system that we are going to use. But this law has given us a right to go for that type of information, and that is what will be taken.
Okay, I think we have barely 3 minutes to go. I just want to find out from you if you can share any immediate steps and actions the Ghana Shippers Authority is going to take, to aid the ensure effective implementation of this new bill.
Yes, for us it is sensitization, and sensitization. We think that it's people are raising concern because of maybe the fact that they don't understand the law fully. People are saying things. So we think that we need to go out there and educate shippers and then the general public. There is a team that is being put together to look at the airlines that will operationalize some of the areas that people express concern. So that we can make it a little easy for players. So we are all out for the discussions. We are doing it for people, and they must be interested, and they must like it. And we also like the feedback. We are not saying that everything we have done is perfect. We like the feedback. It helps us to go back and see what can we do by way of airline to lessen, the burden if there are any. And to dispel the fears as well. So we'll continue with sensitization until the law is fully implemented.
Yes. So just for the sake of clarity, I would want to, and for the purposes of your meeting with the freight forwarders on Wednesday, just for purposes of emphasis, would want to say that the issues they raised in their petition had to do with the conflict with existing, that's one, conflict with existing customs regulations, two, duplication of regulatory functions, three, contradictory licensing requirements, four, criminalization of non-compliance, five, reintroduction of bureaucratic delays, and six, transparency concerns. These are the 6 issues that you are going to deal with when you meet them on Wednesday, God willing. And so that's for
but
the Ghana.
I'm sure I've dealt with a number of them on this program.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'll still meet them
Absolutely.
and discuss a lot of the issues one-on-one.
Right.
So that we can allay their fears.
Great. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Emmanuel Kofi Akun. He's Director of Business Development and Commercial Services at the Ghana Shippers Authority. Tonight helping us, break down and decode the Ghana Shippers Authority Bill 2024, which has been passed by Parliament and has been forwarded to the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for assent, and then it will come into full effect. We are grateful to you, sir, for coming, and we know this is not the first time or the last time. Anytime we feel the need, I know you would always oblige us. I would like to say big thanks to our sponsors, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. Remember, the show is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. We entreat you to watch the abridged version of Iron Port on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television. God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of your favorite Iron Port. My name is Kennedy Mona. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we wish you a blissful and super week ahead. Thank you so much and good evening.